A first big GC day at the Giro d'Italia, bitterly cold, big mountain with an unpleasant name, Blockhaus, and a big GC shake-up as some of the big names drop away. A pink jersey who holds on, Felix Gall who beetles back, but Jonas Vingegaard who rises to the top. Well, the Blockhaus, it's the 8th time this mountain has been used in the history of the Giro d'Italia, Jacopo. The first ever winner in 1967 was a certain Eddy Merckx. And Jonas Vingegaard has scored his name into history alongside Eddy Merckx, which is kind of fitting, isn't it? Because this is his debut at the Giro d'Italia. He's a great champion. He's come here to win the race, and he made a statement today.
Yeah, it was a statement, maybe not the one he was hoping for, and we come to that later. But nonetheless, he joined a special club today because he won a stage Giro, Tour and Vuelta.
Yep.
So he enters this club. He has his eyes on a bigger prize, which is entering the club of the guys who won the GC of the three Grand Tours. But nonetheless, the team were on a high today. It was a good ride. The route to perfection, I guess. He attacked and then he won.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll come on to that as to whether or not he got everything that he wanted and what other detail we spotted on the climb today. But my God, was that a long stage today. It was supposed to be 244 kilometres, and then we got news that they'd added an extra kilometre. And that was like a hammer blow to us, our morale.
For me, it was actually, so we are on top of Blockhaus. It's pretty, as you see in the background, there are no trees around. It's amazing because there is the Adriatic Sea.
There.
But the wind is unbelievably strong. When we arrived there yesterday night, we lost a sock of Ned into the wood.
A running sock. So, yeah, we should say, so we pulled up. Yeah,
it was a funny story.
We pulled up in the darkness outside our hotel, not far from here, just down there actually. And we knew the wind was strong. We didn't realise how strong it was. And both of us had done a bit of exercise in the morning. We had our running kit sort of trying to dry in the car.
Exactly.
But we made the mistake of...
we opened at the same time the doors.
Two doors.
And it kind of tunneled.
A wind tunnel.
And then things were flying away. Ned was good enough to grab my t-shirt and pants because I just have a pair, so I have to wash them every time I use, but he forgot his sock. But this morning, when I walked down to see the amazing panorama, I found a sock laying on the ground.
One of my running socks, so I've still got a pair. That's not really the headline of today, but it meant a lot to us. Anyway,
it was really windy. It was really windy up here. So for me, like what really took me down my morale was like our commentary booth. Normally we're on first floor and
well, we explained that the other day that it's a double decker.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was too windy to take it up. So nobody was there. We were the only one inside, but on the bottom floor, we would say. But everything was open, so we were in the wind. Ned is shivering right now, and it looks like I'm looking to.
I genuinely have. Often, it happened today on mountain stages. Riders who have to wait for the podium protocol, when they've done their big effort, their body temperature goes, and they start shivering. And I know how they feel now because I'm genuinely. I don't know if you can see that. But
it was super cold the whole day.
The race got underway down in the Lazio coast in bright sunshine. They did a wholly unnecessary extra loop of like 40 kilometres. Yes. Which I don't know why that even happened, but that added to the length of the day. But thank God there was a massive tailwind for most of the day.
Yeah, and because the breakaway itself, it looked like it was a slow day again because the breakaway got established immediately with Milan, surprisingly in it, Sevilla.
Didn't surprise me.
Van der Lee.
Didn't surprise me. I haven't got many predictions right.
You said Milan.
I said Jonathan Milan's going to attack him.
Yeah.
He went off.
He was the first one.
He went off to get points in the Maglia Ciclamino at the intermediate sprint.
So Van der Lee, Zukowski, and Sevilla.
Tim Naberman.
Naberman, yes.
Lead-out rider for Picnic Postanel, Raisin.
Yeah, and those were the 5 raisins ahead of Biscuit. I think we're just too cold now. Those were the guys in the breakaway, and he was fast. Thank God he was fast. For the first time, he was really fast. For a moment, second hour, they got 48 average, and pretty much was straightforward. Milan got the point he was looking for in the intermediate sprint. Sevilla got the point where he needed to be at the first KOM of the day.
What's his first name?
Diego.
Sometimes, Jacopo, he's Davide Sevilla, isn't he?
David Sevilla.
No. Diego Sevilla has been so impressive. You remember in Bulgaria, the rider from Polti Visit Malta was off the front. Stage 1, Stage 2, which was 240 kilometres long, Stage 3 as well. So he, in the overall breakaway prize, he had 498 kilometres before today, and he added more than 200 today.
I think it was 220
So
today in the breakaway.
more than
230 maybe.
So he's got more than 700 kilometres in breakaways to his total. And we've only done 7 stages. That's an average of over 100 kilometres a day off the front.
It's an impressive commitment from Diego Sevilla.
Diego.
I said Diego?
Yeah, no, you said David.
You got me confused.
It's the altitude. We're going and the ridiculous body temperature drop. We're going slightly delirious.
Yeah.
But he achieved his objective, like Jonathan Milan. If he took the maximum points.
Yeah. And he got himself a little bit closer to my near 12 points, closer, still far.
Jonathan Milan, yes.
Yeah.
And Sevilla won the climb as well.
Exactly.
So he got 18 points.
18 points, yeah.
So I did the maths and I worked out that he had 42 before today. He won 18 points. That took him to 60 points in the King of the Mountains competition. And I thought, well, that's it. He's fine. He'll definitely take the jersey today. And then I went,
wait, let me check on Vingegaard. Where is he standing?
if Vingegaard wins today, he wins 50 points. But I had a feeling he's already got some King of the Mountains points that he picked up by mistake.
Yeah. And it was the case. He had exactly
11. So if he was going to win the stage, which he did, Vingegaard took 61 points
And
to
took away.
Sevilla's 60. So Vingegaard didn't want to be on the podium with the King of the Mountains jersey, shivering like me, but that's what happened in the end.
Yeah,
Anyway,
exactly.
incredible. I'm super impressed by Diego Sevilla.
Yeah,
I think
he's
he's smart and strong. I really do.
great commitment by him. That was the moment where the race was really taken by the hands by Visma Leasebike and also Bahrain. They were riding very hard, especially on the descent, on the approach of what was the last climb of the day, which Blockhaus indeed, which the wind is still blowing so hard. And there was a brief moment of rain again, another day of rainy for the riders.
Yep.
More than this, we're scared that everything might fall apart and flying away.
Yeah, I've just got my foot on my lap.
Yeah. This is the horrific condition to work, but we're doing
it for the love of cycling, guys.
because we love cycling.
We do love cycling. Anyway, the breakaway fell apart.
Yeah, they started attacking each other. Sevilla found himself a little bit short in energy in the climb, and it was Zukowski that approached actually was Van der Lee who attacked first.
Yep.
Zukowski responded and immediately dropped Van der Lee, and he moved clear ahead of Van der Lee. Roughly 20 meters the gap between the two as he hit the bottom of the climb and the Red Bull kilometers, which was laying 2 kilometers in it.
Yep.
Peloton arrives, was just 1 minute 30 down, so it was very close. Started immediately to pull, and it was like easy scenario. No, it was Net Company leading the way. Net Company Ineos
got
first.
on the front. And you thought, well, this is a big show of confidence for Egan Bernal and Timo Arensman. Unfortunately, if you look at the results at the end of the day, you think, well,
no.
Sadly, we've spoken about Egan Bernal a lot, and quite rightly. He's one of only 2 riders who've won the Giro d'Italia at this Giro. But the signs now, we know for sure that what happened to him on, when was it, stage 4?
Yeah, when he was distanced briefly.
That wasn't, unfortunately, that wasn't just a bad day for Egan Bernal. We had confirmation today that his form is not there. And he's not going to be. He's not a podium contender.
No,
this year's
not
Giro
anymore.
d'Italia.
Not anymore.
And
even Arensman also.
Arensman,
He kind of managed to survive the day, but not exactly what he was hoping for.
Yeah.
But go back in time when, after Ineos, for a brief moment, Campenaerts of Visma Leasebike took the lead again. But then it was Red Bull with numbers. They got everybody there. It was Zweif, Aleotti, Vlasov, Hindley, Pellizzari.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody was there.
Yeah.
They would just miss Dent, Mick van Dijk and Gianni Moscon, 3, I think, riders meant it to be on the flat. So they hit the front end. The peloton started to get narrower and narrower, they're losing pieces and pieces. But I think the really moment where we saw a dramatic change of speed was first when Aleotti took over. We saw already Mas getting in trouble. Also, who was their distance? Einer Rubio was with him, Wout Poels, Jan Christian also very much early. He got distance. We were hoping it was good, but was not the case.
But in the meantime, Afonso Eulalio,
he was looking super confident and
right
smart.
Up there, sitting alongside Jonas Vingegaard, right in the mix with the Red Bull riders and with Decathlon, with Felix Gall. He dropped a little bit at 1 or 2 occasions, slid down that group, repositioned himself, but then halfway up the climb, suddenly the lights went out, didn't he? And he had to let go, which is, to get that deep into the climb was super impressive.
Amazing by him. And that I was at that time that Visma Leasebike took over again, and this was a time with serious intention. It was Piganzoli chapeau to him. Great ride by him, a newly recruited rider for the team after spending quite some years at Poltivisit Malta. Good ride by him. And then Sepp Kuss. I mean, with those two guys, they start to really making a lot of impact. Derek G was in trouble. Who was distance by then? Chris Harper also was in trouble.
Store, a bunch of people really. Yeah.
And then only 10 riders remained up the front with Sepp Kuss.
Yep.
Which he didn't had to do much, it was just very briefly, and then bam.
5.5k to go. Jonas goes. Giulio Pellizzari goes with him. Felix Gall initially goes with him, but it's not long before Gall has allowed a little gap to grow. And Gall, he's got this very characteristic style, a little bit reminiscent of Chris Froome. He spins a high cadence. He's got a very distinct, but he's very experienced at just, I can do this much power.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to do, and then we see what comes of it. Whereas Pellizzari, much younger rider, he went after Vingegaard, tried to hold his wheel, held his wheel for a kilometre or two.
Yeah,
kilometre and a half.
It was looking good for a moment.
Looking good, but then boom, laptop nearly blew into the Adriatic. Then all of a sudden the lights went out a little bit for Pellizzari.
Yeah,
had to recover.
Without a real acceleration from Vingegaard, it looked like he just had to let it go and was really standing still because the moment Vingegaard moved clear ahead of him, so it was solo, Vingegaard, Pellizzari and Gall all of a sudden started to getting back time over the two. And he reached Pellizzari, he dropped him immediately, got on the wheel, attacked him, dropped him, and got in the chase of Vingegaard. And Vingegaard, at the same time, he made the difference immediately, but then for a moment it seems like they were matching each other, him and Gall. They were 20 seconds, 18-21, 18-21. This was the game. What behind what we didn't say, the different groups were forming. One was Jai Hindley with Ben O'Connor, the two Australians.
Yep.
A little bit behind there was Michael Storer, Matisse Rondel, Derek G, Giulio Ciccone.
Your memory is incredible. You're just plucking this straight out of this is extraordinary, yeah.
But I cannot say Diego Sevilla.
A little bit further back, Damiano Caruso had picked up the pink jersey, his teammate, just to shepherd him through and make sure that he didn't sustain any more losses. Yeah. And he finished the day with a 3-minute something deficit. Because he's fine.
The wind was incredibly strong. Ned literally his feet on a computer because the computer's flowing away otherwise. But he really had an impact a lot on today's stage, and also the way he was reading this stage. But then it seems like really at the last kilometer, I had the moment where oh my God, is Gall coming back on Vingegaard?
Yeah.
It looked like he was closing a gap, especially on the last kilometer.
If you think about it, he had a 24-second lead over Felix Gall at one point, and he finished with a 13-second lead. He lost half of that lead over the course of the last 2 or 3 kilometres, and that'll just be nagging away at him slightly, making his day less perfect than it was. Yeah. And certainly he hasn't taken minutes out of everybody. There was an interesting little group that came to the line for the sprint for 3rd place, and that was an all-Australian Ben O'Connor and Jai Hindley, plus Hindley's young teammate Pellizzari. Hindley sprinted for those bonus seconds, gapped Giulio Pellizzari as well. And I think within that, Hindley's a very placid, straightforward, honest guy, but I think he was proving a little point there.
He has a fire inside.
He's a former winner of the Giro d'Italia. And at the moment, if you take out Eulalio of the general classification, Hindley's moved up into a podium place, just ahead of Pellizzari. So that's an interesting dynamic to watch at Red Bull Bordeaux-Hansgrohe.
Yeah.
But there we go. The expected outcome, wasn't it? Jonas Vingegaard?
Yeah. Not maybe I think as you said, he won, but not maybe the damage he was hoping to do.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to go home with doubt. Again, it's a very special day with the wind. Everything can change in a much more normal day. And also, the Giro is 3 weeks long. But it didn't kill the Giro, and this is good.
Vingegaard is flying up this climb. No matter the record of 40 minutes and 13 seconds could yet be under threat, and that's despite the conditions that the race has faced. This blustery, howling, storm conditions that they have faced on the Blockhaus climb. As he gets out of the saddle, intent on sealing the final victory here, hammering the nail into this stage and making sure that it's his. Felix Gall with that highly contrasting, high cadence, seated climbing style, off in pursuit of Jonas Vingegaard. He'll hope when he rounds this corner that yellow jersey has come a little bit closer to him, but Vingegaard is still just out of contact, out of reach for Felix Gall, and riding towards what feels like an inevitable victory. Those hardy souls who've made it up to the top of this enormous climb in Abruzzo, rewarded by a little bit of sunshine towards the top of this climb, and to see this champion rider who's come to the Giro d'Italia for the first time in his career take the applause in these exposed and dramatic settings here of the Blockhaus climb. Jonas Vingegaard has done it. Visma Leasebike took this race by the scruff of the neck. It won't be enough to take the Maglia Rosa today, but it will be enough for Jonas Vingegaard to know that the legs are good, the heart is beating, this race is on. Jonas Vingegaard rounds the corners and heads towards the last couple of 100 metres of this epic climb. Blockhaus belongs to Denmark on this occasion. Vingegaard looks round, checks for the final time that he has held Felix Gall at bay, and he can coast home because he has won at the Giro d'Italia on debut, on stage 7. The first victory he will be hoping of many as Gall comes into the picture. His margin of victory won't be big, but Vingegaard tastes victory at the Giro, kisses the handlebars, punches the air 3 times. The win is his, but the moral victory, you might say, belongs to this man because Felix Gall has produced a brilliantly tenacious second place, and Vingegaard knows he's in a race.
We have a lot to be, speculating and thinking for the coming days. So, imagine if we win by 3 minutes. You'll think like, okay, what are we going to watch in the next days of the Giro? But no, the classement is still very short, and I think especially Vingegaard and Gall still very close one each other because at the end, 14 seconds plus the bonuses make 18 seconds. Not much. And in the back, an amazing ride by Mathis Rondel as well.
Mathis Rondel.
What an amazing ride by him.
I interviewed him for the Never Stress Far podcast back in February when he took a stage win at the Tour de la Provence.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I'd never heard of him before.
Yeah, I did.
But he's a very straightforward, strong, very talented young prospect. I'd be fascinated to see what he does.
Yeah. So everything looks good for him. Michael Storer also was in the top 10.
Yep.
Timo Aresman, I think it was the 10th. Michael Storer 9th. But, the expected protagonists, they're all there. We just missed Bernal. Yeah. Bernal and Enric Mas, I think, among them. But the rest, they were there, no?
I can't believe I'm so grateful you're in such a chatty mood after 7 hours of commentary. You're kind of like doing the entire podcast job for me today, which is great because the shivering now that started in my hand has now gone down my spine and is now for some bizarre reason starting to affect my lower legs and my kneecaps and my calves. My entire body I can't tell you how cold it is here at the top of Blockhaus. Actually, I can tell you, it's really bloody cold. Let's have a look. Should we have a look at stage 8?
Vámonos.
Stage 8 is a 3-star stage in the region of Marche, which is just north of Abruzzo. Some really familiar territory in the Italian cycling scene. Apologies, I can barely make my mouth work as well at the moment as they go down. Genuinely, my mouth is freezing up. They go down to the coast, the Tyrrhenian coast, and run along in a northerly direction. Most significantly, I think, for fans of Tirreno Adriatico, they stop off at San Benedetto. Well, they don't stop off, they go straight through San Benedetto del Tronto. Don't stop for lunch, although they do tremendous seafood in San Benedetto del Tronto. From there, they head inland and over a series of short, sharp climbs, 4 of them in total, 3 Cat 4s and 1 Cat 3, before a finish line in Fermo. That's going to be a really interesting stage. It could be a day for a breakaway, but it might well be, depending on how it's raced, that it all comes back together because those climbs could be an opportunity for one of the GC riders to make a little bit of a move. We'll have to see. Really interesting days racing, 3-star stage, beautifully built and constructed, and like 100 kilometers shorter than today's stage.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting stage. It's a Tirreno Adriatico style of stage, and plus the finale, even if there's going to be a breakaway, which is very likely tomorrow, the last 2 climbs, Capodarco and Fermo, they're close one each other, and that's the perfect trump. If somebody feeling like, want to try something.
All right, well, I know what I want to try. I want to try getting in a nice warm car and driving to... Where we go? We're staying in Fermo tonight.
We're staying in Porto San Giorgio, and you'll be more than pleased that tonight we have a very good restaurant. We're going to have fish You can have a glass of warm wine, I guess.
Yeah.
You don't want anything
Just pour it over my head.
But yeah, you're gonna be very warm in just 5 minutes.
Is this your friend who makes this bespoke pasta?
Yeah.
Do you want to give him a name check?
You can.
Or do you want to give them a name because he makes beautiful pasta, right?
Yeah, it's a Pasta Mancini, and
Pasta
he's the
Mancini.
Mr. Mancini.
Yeah.
Massimo is a wonderful person, and I was lucky enough to meet him a few years ago, and I mean the best pasta in the world for me.
See, the great thing about travelling around Italy with Jacopo is there's almost nowhere that he doesn't know someone who's got some amazing food on offer. So, yeah. All right, that's it. We've somehow survived the Blockhaus stage. Thank you very much for watching again on this podcast. And by the way, keep your eyes out for the billboards that have proliferated in 2 places, in London and in central Manchester, that are on display as my laptop does nearly fly away. Yeah, and if you see them, post a photograph to our socials, and I'm sure that we can repost that. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you all again tomorrow, hopefully in slightly warmer conditions down by the seaside. But for me, for now, it's
Ciao.
Ciao for now. We'll get there eventually.